Hi, welcome back to our channel. My name is David from Braeven, and on this channel we talk everything sales. Today I've got with me Steve, CEO of Braeven, and our topic for today is sales administration. Very exciting, I know, but it's a topic that Steve and I get into heated debates about. So I think it'd be quite interesting to actually put it onto the World Wide Web so that everyone can see our debate.
Debate started. David is paralysis by analysis and wants 7 different reports, 2 different CRMs, and Steve says salespeople are the worst administrators and that we need to get the basics from them to be able to understand where we are. And somewhere between where David is and I am is probably the right balance. So from my perspective, the admin that I like to see is that in order to run a company, you need to understand what's going to happen with cash flow. In order to understand what's happening with cash flow, you need to understand what deals are coming in. In order to understand what deals are coming in, you've got to have a pipeline document. So a pipeline document is fundamental to the whole reporting structure, first of all. What's in that pipeline is like where it now becomes a whole debate. So I think I think minimalistic, and I think one needs to also understand why you want to collect administrative information from your salespeople. If you want it because you want to understand what that salesperson is up to, so what are their actions, what are they busy with, you're going to start loading a whole lot of admin on them.
Yes.
If they're making their numbers and you're not interested in what they're doing, but more interested in the outcomes, then it becomes minimalistic, which is what I like to do. I'm not a report on every activity I do, and yet historically I do my numbers. So it's the outcome. So where it becomes interesting as well is you collect the information. So first of all, so you can manage the company, you can manage your revenues. What is the second reason? Is that as managers, you have oversight of deals and what's happening and are they being progressed correctly and do we have enough information, and hence you instituted this thing, I think it's called medics or something, and it's about collecting information about the deal and having an all-encompassing approach to deal management and so on. And the advantage of that is that we have a more objective view, because pipelines, salespeople always have these amazing pipelines, and guess what, things move up the pipeline from 10 to 20 to 80 and then disappear off pipeline. That shouldn't happen. You know that in companies I've worked for, if you put something on the commit, American companies, you put something on your commit sheet and it doesn't go through, there's a disciplinary hearing. That's how critical people look at, some companies look at pipeline. The third dynamic why you could want good administration, sales administration, is for doing proper handovers. A sales guy leaves. If you don't have proper information on who the customer was, how was the deal sitting, who were we talking to, at what stage, what's the next follow-up, if you don't have that, you stuffed. So, keeping a pipeline up to date has got many sides to it. Revenue, accountability, predictability, and then for continuation, should that salesperson actually leave. And that's one dynamic of administration, and that's the reporting side. In our world, that reporting is incredibly important because we have suppliers who pay us to sell, and they need to see 2 things. They need to either see results or effort. And that effort goes around. We did so many calls, which resulted in so many meetings, which resulted in so many demos, which resulted in so many proof of value or POCs, or then how many of those resulted in a proposal, and by the way, how many proposals closed. That is critical information to suppliers. So that is important stuff, not so much to us, but to our suppliers that we're actually providing a service to. So that's Steve's take on it. I go for less, and Dave likes paralysis by analysis.
I think it's on my side. I think it's because, I always say that I sometimes read too much. because I always like to take the latest and greatest from things that I read about. But the one thing that I'm realizing more and more now is, to your point, is understand what you need to report on and why, and then work backwards. Yeah. And that will dictate what administration the salespeople need to do and what they need to get hold of. But I do think that, the one area, and I'm getting to the nitty gritty now, is deal continuation, especially when salespeople leave. Continuity, because you don't have, what was that last email that was sent between each other? Where are they if the previous salesperson hasn't been administrating their deal correctly, you are lost. You don't know what's going on in that deal. So, let's see if we can get this right. What is it on a deal that a salesperson should be reporting on in general? So I'm not talking for our business. Yeah. I'm saying in general. You now come into a sales director role and you're saying, okay, cool, I'm looking at the CRM at the moment and I want to see this, and that. What are you asking for?
I think the first and most important thing to me is above 80% what's in our commit pipeline.
Okay.
Because that's short term, that's money, that's going to pay the bills, and I want to know, cash is king. I want to know what is actually going to drop in the next, short term. What's going to happen in the next 1 month, the next 2 months. That's on the commit list. So I want to see what's happening on the commit list. Then I want to see, the next thing is how long are deals sitting in that pipeline. So I want to see when was that deal, when it was initiated, and how long has it been sitting, and if you can, it starts getting onerous, but if you can start understanding where the bottlenecks are, that's critical to know that, because then you can fix things. Yeah. We started a couple now where we say we push for a proof of concept with a client, and all that's done is slow down the deals. And so we said, let's move away from proof of concept. We don't have to prove anything anymore. The technology has tried, tested, so why are we pushing for a proof of concept? Maybe what we should do is push for a proof of value, because that means that you buy, we install, we train, and that all becomes part of a value proposition to you. So, and that seems to...
So deal length.
How long is that?
Deal cycle.
Yeah, and critically, where's the start?
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
So that's important in the pipeline, and then I want to see what's feeding.
So lead gen.
Lead gen component. Yeah. How are we introducing into the funnel? To me, that's very critical as well. And they will tell you. We reverse engineer our numbers. So we know we need to produce 12 million rands worth of revenue for a supplier. An average deal size is $1 million. We need to close 12 deals. One step back, how many proposals do we need to have? Well, how many proposals do you generally close once you submitted a proposal? 50%. We need 24 million rands in our part at proposal stage. How many meetings turn to proposals? 50%. We need 48 meetings, direct customer-facing meetings, in order to generate that final number. By the way, how many calls result in a meeting, an initial meeting? 10. 480 calls need to be made to deliver the number, and we reverse engineer that. So you can let those statistics. That's very, very valuable to our suppliers.
That's valuable for us as well, because for any sales directors, sales managers, you can see, to your point earlier, where are things going wrong. Yeah. You look at industry standards, industry norms, and you try to relate it as much as possible. That if you're selling SaaS products, what's the industry norm for conversion rates? How are you matching up to it? How can you increase it? How can you be beyond industry norm? What are you doing that's right? What are you doing that's wrong? Why are they falling off? And I think this is where the admin issue comes up again, is the why factor.
Why are you doing admin?
No. Why are things happening? So for example, you spoke about deals that are committed for that quarter, so 80% and higher. Okay, that should be, you need to come up with the why. How do I tell you that yes, this will happen, and you can objectively say, I agree with you, it will happen. And it's not because that's the problem with sales. People always see sales as an art.
Yeah. And not as a science.
And not as a science. So I'm trying to say, okay, cool. When you say a deal's at 80%, how are you factoring in that deal will close in the next quarter? Why? Yeah. And that's where the concept of medic comes in, which is a way to qualify.
Objective way of qualifying.
It's an objective way to qualify it.
Yeah.
And even when deals are further down the path, And the guy's like, yeah, no, we're at this percentage. And I think it's very important that you actually understand the percentages. But when it gets to a certain point, it's like, why? Tell me why. Tell me a story why, and get around the bullshit. Because I mean, salespeople, the one thing that's good salespeople are normally good at is selling themselves and selling a pipeline. I think that's probably one of the best things that they're good at. So I'm asking the why. You know, you get different software now at the moment, like a Gong. International. It's what Gong does is it analyzes all your calls and all of that and builds trends of what's working, what's not working, and they relate it back to your conversion numbers. And said on average, for example, you know, at your proposal meeting, and it has to be online meetings though, at your proposal meeting, these words were the most said, these are the questions that were asked, and so on and so forth, and tries to build these trends and say, if you ask these type of questions, you will have a better chance of closing. And that's what they do, and that's why they're looking at unicorn status now, because they're growing so much. And I think that's where it's just another way to make the why more objective than subjective.
I'm going to throw another little thing into the pot here, and it does depend, it's very dependent on what you say.
Oh, very dependent, you can't.
And the reason why I'm saying that is if you look at, say, for example, pharmaceutical industry, we have pharmaceutical reps. So they get given a sheet every morning and it says, these are the 8 doctors that you need to go see today. Yeah. And then what you're going to do is write your, say, I arrived at the doctor at this time, I left at the doctor at this time, this is what we discussed, and this is I got this order. So that's so granular, the reporting, but there's a reason for it, and it comes into trust and results. You know what I mean? I don't think we ever want to micromanage our people when we have time sheets. Yeah. You know what I mean? Tell us what you did today, from 7 to 8, I did this, 8 to 9, I did this. I mean, and a lot of companies do that. Eh?
But the only reason you do that...
Think about that. Yeah. Timmy. So Timmy, one of our sales guys, who says that he worked for a company that
does stuff.
Sells retail stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And they had to literally fill in a timesheet. So you arrive at work at 8 o'clock, then I made 5 calls to these people, then I went and took a 15-minute break, then I made 10 calls that did to this thing, and they had to fill it in. And if you wanted to leave at 5 to 5 in the afternoon, eyebrows were raised. You know what I mean? I don't think I like one of those things like that. You know what I mean? It's like people are then not people anymore. They've just become resources. And I think the worst thing you can do is treat your people who work for you as resources, not as people. Yeah. So I think there can be paralysis by analysis when it comes to this whole linking, reporting and administration and sales and admin. I say less is better, and I've always said that. But it's because I think my work ethic is good.
Yeah. You never
question that. Make that same mistake. Is that you expect the best of people. So, we're busy going through a situation at the moment where we're taking on a product that is targeted at body corporates. Well, body corporate men have day jobs. They at work all day. Now they get home and they go check their emails, body corporate emails. It's in the evening. Our sales guys should have adjusted their times. I don't care, get to work at 9 o'clock, get to work at 10 o'clock. But your call time then is from 4 to 6. You know what I mean? Or 4 to 7 even.
Changing your golden hour.
Yes, you've got to adjust that. You know what I mean? And does that fall under administration or just good work at practice or does work on diffusion of bloody brains?
I think
people don't think it through.
I agree with you where you're trying to cause less admin in the salesperson, but I disagree with you in that I want more admin, but I don't want more admin that the salesperson is doing. My argument around it is how can I do
admin than sales?
Correct. I want to see how do I leverage technology to do the admin for me. Because sometimes you need those reports. Like, I can look at this, we're busy looking to implement new outbound software at the moment, and the reason why I want it is the reporting. Because then it will tell me how many calls someone did, how many emails someone did, how much output did they give in. And now instead of me asking the guys firstly to manually record that, it gets done automatically. And secondly, I now have a lot more data-rich stuff that I can now give to our clients.
And that's important. As I said, our suppliers look at 2 things: money, effort. Yeah. And if we can say to them, this is how many emails have gone out this month. We've sent out 2,500 emails to your targeted clients with individualized emails, personalized to that individual. By the way, we have some smart software in the background. When the person's opened that email twice, our call center guy phoned him up and set up the meeting. That's what we do. If you're reporting on those type of statistics, they're not going to question. They're not going to question, but why the deal's not happening. That's because that's not in our hands anymore.
No, it's not. I think
we can almost guarantee effort, but can we guarantee results? Sometimes not. Because if you've got the wrong product, or it's too expensive, or people see it as a nice to have instead of a necessary item,
and you don't know a lot of the time until you know, or at least you understand the market well enough. Like there's certain markets we can see into,
and we can
but other markets we can't.
Yeah.
And I think completely lost my train of thought. I have no idea what my next thing was there.
Okay, cut.
Okay, but I think what we can maybe agree on is that admin is important.
Yeah.
But
for reporting
purposes, but it comes, and I think you know what? Okay, that's what I remember what I was going to say. The issue with the salesman at the moment, and I think this is in most industries, is most salespeople are perceived as lazy. In general,
just perceived. Oh, they're all lazy.
Okay, so most salespeople are okay, but there is that general, and that's why micromanagement starts coming in. But you can't micromanage sales because the sales just go sell. Yeah. If you're hiring salespeople to go sell, you're not hiring salespeople to look after the admin and that.
Yeah.
So I think happy medium, leveraging technologies, understanding why people are doing what, and as long as you're getting the reports that you need, don't make it onerous. So you remember when? Sorry, last thing. You remember when we did that growth matters things with one of the guys that used to work here?
Yeah.
And how admin intensive that process was. And I remember you looking at it and be like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
There's no chance. And I was like, no, let's try it. And then everyone was getting sick of it. I'm like, no, there's easier ways. And that's why looking at the net pickup probably is the easiest because it's not complicated, it's straightforward.
Yeah.
So,
but if admin provides structure to your sale, then it's good admin.
Yes.
Like a
what you should be doing in the sale. What questions aren't you asking?
Yeah. If it's providing guidance, and especially when you've got new guys on board and stuff like that, it's a consistent way of making sure that they're ticking all the right boxes to ensure deal flow. So then it's admin for the right reason.
Agree with you. Cool. Anything else you want to add on admin?
Admin.
I think, Cass, you need to think of a sexier name for this because I think if you're going to type in sales admin, I think if we get one view, it's going to be a miracle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe something like, what is a good balance for sales admin or something?
Yes.
Okay. Because I want less, and someone else in the room, I won't mention names, wants more.
So at least the debate carried on. Cool. But thanks everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Cheers. Bye.